Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you already know, this is your U.S. General, 5-drawer tool cart with side tray and deep compartment. Today is Tuesday, as you can see. We now back over at the storage unit, getting back to it, getting busy as always. Okay. In today's video presentation, I want to stay within the guidelines of the narrative. Okay, this video is going to be based upon getting information out there to some of those individuals who may not possibly have a mechanical background, or some of these young technicians that are just now coming into the trade, or if they're in tech school, coming out of tech school and looking for a job, whether in an independent shop or a dealership and things like that of that nature. In the last two particular videos that I've uploaded, I demonstrated a different variety of metric equipment when it came to regular impact sockets to chrome sockets. And yesterday's upload, I covered certain particular specialty sockets. Unfortunately, in the last video that I uploaded, the video was actually longer. And it was cut short while uploaded. I'm not really quite sure. There was a lot of information that was missed in that particular video, even though it was running a little long. In this video, I'm not going to go back into those details that was missed in that particular video. I may break it up in another video later on down the road and get back to it. But I want to keep things moving along because, you know, there's a lot I got to explain. There's a lot that I need to show. All right. So a lot of these videos is going to be broken down. Some of them are roughly going to run between the range of 20 minutes or so. All right. Some of them I'll try to keep, you know, at a minimum, but I'm trying to compress a lot of information all into one particular video. Right. But I ain't going to hold you up too much more longer in the introductory of things. But as I always state, as usual, I always keep my signature lingering somewhere in the background. My Dunkin' Donuts coffee. You already know. Okay. So with this particular video, I want to start this video off a little bit differently. All right. Rather than me just diving right into, let's say, standard sockets and things like that of that nature. This is something that I would want to point out to some of those younger individuals and young technicians that's just coming into the field. And, you know, you may not have a lot of experience and your finances may not be that tight. Everybody's financial situations is set up a little differently. Okay. So when you're taking a look in on a lot of content and a lot of my videos on this particular channel, yes, you see a lot of different equipment, you know, that range within a lot of different brands, from Milwaukee to Mac to Snap-on to Mako, Duralast, Gray Pneumatic, Astro Pneumatic, Stillman Pro, Craftsman, Tech, Mac Expert. Like, there's so many different lines of equipment that I have, but there's something that I want to point out to some of you individuals that are out there that's taking a look in from the outside in on these videos. And before you can see any of the equipment that I demonstrate to you, all right, I have to give you a little bit something about myself and my experience. Okay, I come from a different state, so I basically relocated, and where I'm at now, I never brought all my equipment that's from within another state. I actually have a whole nother storage unit that has a lot of equipment in it just as well. So in the process of me relocating, when I came to where I'm at now, you understand, I didn't have equipment around me, but I was looking to obtain a job in the field. All right. So when I first started, I didn't have, you know, all the proper equipment that I necessarily needed, but there was a few items that I did pick up that enabled me, you know, to get through a couple of days to a few weeks of my job until I started accumulating a lot of different equipment that you see in all of these videos. So I want to take you to the beginning in this video so that if your finances is not all settled and all correct, don't ever get discouraged because you're in a shop where everybody has, you know, big fancy toolboxes and big fancy tools and things like that, because everybody has to start from the bottom. Everybody does not just technically jump to having the big like major tool storages or the most expensive tools by any tool truck brand and things like that of that nature. So I want to give you a little insight to where things started. So we're going to dive right in. So walk with me. Let's get it. All right, so before I dive into these items that I got sitting at the top of the tool cart, I'm just going to give you a little brief story. I wound up obtaining, a particular job at a particular facility. And during the time when I applied for the job, there wasn't many different positions that was open. I had to basically take an under position. And when I came into the field, I was more experienced in the position that I was actually working in. So, on my first day at work, I didn't come to work, with many tools. And another thing is that I was supposed to be in a 2-week training before I actually was about to get physical on vehicles and things like that of that nature. But on my very first day of work, a lot of equipment and a lot of machines that was within the shop, my supervisor line me up with another technician where that the technician was supposed to show me, how to operate certain things. And what it was is that I cut all of that short to tell them that everything that y'all actually have in the shop, I already know how to operate. So they wanted to see. And as soon as I showed them that I knew how to operate every piece of equipment that they had in the shop, I basically started working the following next day, literally on multiple cars. So what I had to do was I had to hurry up and go out and go get a regular normal general service set because, on Automotive, we use 3/8 drive and 1/4 inch drive, all right, and 1/2 inch drive. During the time I didn't have my 1/2 inch impact, my Ingersoll, I didn't have none of the cordless or anything that you see at the prior moment, all right. So what I did was because we deal with certain auto parts stores and things like that, I had contacted who was that Advanced Auto Parts. And this set that you see here, I picked up and purchased this 80-piece set, okay, which came with SAE and metric. So as you see, it has 1/4 inch drive and 3/8 drive. It came with 2 ratchets, a 1/4 inch ratchet and a 3/8 drive ratchet, all right, just as well as it came with a nut driver with some bits and 2 6-inch extensions in 1/4 inch drive and 3/8 drive. So basically, this was all I had, all right. And when it came to like oil service tools, I had your regular crappy, metal loop oil filter wrench that really never works. I didn't have oil filter claws or anything like that at the prior moment. So in some of these videos, I'm going to go into a lot of those different items that in due time you will need to pick up, all right, just as well as having a certain set of sockets. Okay, I went to a local store and picked up this Craftsman set, as you can see here, which is a 42-piece set, all right, which gives you your Torx, your E-Torx. It also gave you a 3/8 drive ratchet with a reducer, and what is this, like another 6-inch extension. Okay, so now you have your hex Torx, you have your regular Torx, just as well as you have Phillips flatheads, all right, in this particular set. So when I first started off, like the first couple of days to the first couple of weeks, this is what I was using consistently, all right. During that time, I had a different service card. I had a little Northern Tool slide top, right. So I used this until I was able to get back out of state to my other storage unit. That's when I started bringing some of my real equipment to the shop, which I was heavy on Proto Professional and Mac Expert tools, just as well as Mac tools like Precision Torx and all of that. I've had all of that stuff way back since 2012, 2011. All right. So this was equipment that I had for years that now I was bringing into the shop. During the time I didn't have, a 5-drawer tool cart. I didn't have the 4-drawer because I had 2 of these carts at the same time. The 4-drawer tool cart, I loaded up with tools, and I wound up discarding it to a young gentleman who was getting a job with the Toyota dealer, right? So when I got rid of that cart with a lot of different Mac tools and Proto Professional tools, just as well as these sets, because these boxes are basically empty, okay? The tools that were in these boxes was given to the kid with the 4-drawer US General, with many other different tools just as well, like some gear wrenches and things like that, because I had a lot of that different type of equipment. So I just want you to get an understanding, because there's a lot of videos that I have put out in the past, and this channel is not really that old. I think just as of recently, I put out over 400 videos, okay, like within a year's time, not just within this storage unit, but in a live professional shop. So a lot of Snap-on equipment and Milwaukee equipment and things like that. As I was obtaining and going through a particular transition, you was getting the opportunity to visualize that transition as I was going through it. So when I get these questions, you know, where do I get my tools from, or how I pay for my tools, and this, that, and the third, like, which sounds kind of crazy, because there's videos showing the whole journey step by step. If I'm on the Snap-on truck, you see what I'm purchasing off the Snap-on truck, because I'm giving you a tool review about it right after the fact. Okay. So for y'all younger technicians out there, I don't want you to get discouraged because you see a lot of expensive equipment and things like that, because honestly, it doesn't even really matter. Okay. You can still get through your jobs, you know, with least inexpensive tools and so on and so forth. But at some particular point in time, if your heart is in this field, okay, you are going to need to step up your equipment. Okay. Because equipment like this is not designed for everyday abuse, day in and day out, 365 days of the year. Now, when it came to this particular set right here, the sockets was excellent, but the ratchets was not. I had to warranty these ratchets, I think, like 2 times. They weren't lasting more than 3 to 4 months. But the sockets was excellent. I still have some of these sockets in this cart. Okay. In past videos, I went out my way to even state that and to even show that, just as well as I'm talking about Mac Expert sockets, which is the lower brand of Mac. Okay, I have some of those sockets in this cart just as well. So, you know, in a lot of different videos, I show Craftsman sockets, Gray Pneumatic sockets, Milwaukee sockets, Astro Pneumatics, Snap-on. It doesn't even matter. I still get my job done, and so can you. Okay. But once again, at some particular point in time, you're going to want to upgrade, you know, your equipment, especially depending upon what type of work you do. All right. Where you work at will be another thing. Okay. Where I worked at was never an independent shop. I worked at a very high volume facility in a high volume area. So we got constant traffic. I used to work on 3 and 4 cars at a time every day. All right. At least 14 to 16 hours. I used to do a lot of overtime. I had a lot of time on my hands. So when I used to be in the shop, I used to be recording in between jobs. Sometimes I would have 2 and 3 cars, 2 cars on 2 lifts at the same time, steadily doing the work, but steadily recording, still giving videos to show the viewers when I could. All right. I couldn't technically be in the shop with a tripod stand. All right. Shooting professional videos. None of these videos are edited or anything like that. All right. Anytime you see the video jump from scene to scene, it's just me pausing the camera and then just pressing play again. So there's no special camera equipment going on or any of that. Like on this channel, there's no fronting. You understand? Not directing that energy at other channels or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But like when you're taking a look in on this channel, I do what I do for real. Okay. I don't go out and purchase tools to how may I say, put out tool reviews to gain views or gain votes from individuals. I don't need to be co-signed by individuals. I do what I do. When I shoot these videos, I shoot these videos for the love of the people, for the love of the community. All right. So I just wanted to put that out there real quick. And now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the standard SAE sockets, because I want the younger individuals out there to get an understanding as far as what they're looking at, okay? What they may need, what they may not need, all right? Coming into the field nowadays, we use a lot of 6-point metric and 12-point metric. SAE standard is not technically really used. You use a lot of SAE standard on a lot of older vehicles. That's not to say that SAE standard is not still used in certain areas, because there has been times where I've used metric sockets that were on specifications of metric fasteners where that they weren't fitting, but I had to go to a SAE standard socket. So this is for what reason why I actually have SAE standard in my equipment. All right. I'd rather have it than not have it and need it and get stuck without it. So this is the purpose of why I have what I have. All right. But we're going to dive right into it. Let's get it. All right, so now that I got quite a few things out at the top of the tool card, I'm going to try to run through this quick. All right, there are a couple of items sitting at the top that was in the last previous video, just in case you just unfortunately happen to miss the last upload. All right, I'll leave the link in the description for that particular video, just as well as part 1. All right, but what you're taking a look at here is your SAE standard swivel impact sockets. These are 1/2-inch drive right here. All right. What you're taking a look at here is your 3/8 drive low profile socket set. This is your SAE standard. This is 3/8 drive shallow right here. This is your 3/8 deep in chrome. These sockets here are your e-torques. These was in the last previous video, so you'll be able to get a good opportunity to see that in the last video. All right, what you're taking a look at here is all 1/4 inch. This is your deep, this is semi-deep, and then this is your shallow, all SAE standard. What you're taking a look at here, all right, is a 13-piece shallow socket set. This is shallow SAE standard. You can see the measurements here, all right. This is the 1/2-inch deep in chrome. Back here is your 3/8 drive deep impact socket set, and this set is your shallow impact socket set. This is your 1/4 inch impact. This is your shallow impact. All right. In the last previous video, I already demonstrated to show the ball and hex SAE standard sockets, just as well as the adapter set that you see here, and the Torx Plus and the pipe plug set that you see back there. What you're taking a look at here is SAE standard 1/2-inch drive deep, and then these are your shallow. Just recently, I just discarded a semi deep 1/2-inch drive standard impact socket set to a gentleman for the lack of some sizes. So I wanted to get rid of them. I'm gonna replace them, just as well as I may discard this particular set for the lack of sizes, because what it is I want to keep the trays. So I could either buy the bigger trays and then fill these in and fill the sockets. But the thing is that when you're doing that, these sockets are different because they go according to the part numbers. All right. So I want to keep the same part number sockets as sets in full complete sets. All right, that's the thing when purchasing Snap-on equipment, because some of these particular sets you will lack sizes, like especially with this 1/2-inch drive set. There's like five to six other sockets that actually belong with this particular set, and then there's even more higher sizes when you're now moving into like the axle nut sockets in SAE standard. I showed the axle nut sockets in the metric, okay, but you do have those larger measurements in SAE standard just as well. All right, so a lot of this equipment, like I was stating, nowadays we don't use much ASAE standard in the automotive service field. Everything is a lot of 6-point metric and 12-point metric nowadays. But once again, it's dependent upon what you work on. If you work on old school classic cars and things like that, you may be in that line in the field. When it comes to diesel mechanics and heavy equipment mechanics, I'm not quite too sure in all the measurements and particular sizes that they use. All right, because I'm technically not in that field. All right, But just to give you, you know, a little idea of what is what when it comes to SAE standard, all right? In some instances, if needed, in which direction I would tell you to lean in. If you did have to go into SAE standard, I would suggest that you go with the impact instead of the chrome, all right? And go with the deep or semi deeps. You may not, you can use the shallows. You may be able to get away with the semi deeps in certain situations. Me personally, I'd rather have everything. Once again, I'd rather have it than not have it and get stuck without it. But you know, everybody's finances and situations is set up differently. All right. So that's pretty much it about that on this particular video. One last thing that I want to point out also for your younger technicians out there, because I want y'all to get an understanding just as well as some of the individuals who may not have a mechanical background. When you take a look at these chrome sockets here, which are SAE standard, okay, which you're taking a look at here, these are 12-point SAE standard sockets, but these sockets also come in 6-point metric. So your 6-point metric would look like this. All right, because these SAE standard impact sockets are 6-point metric. When you take a look at this SAE standard set in the chromes, this is 6-point. Okay, so there's a difference. You know, when you're taking a look at equipment, do your due diligence. Don't just, you know, read the labeling, because if you don't know the measurements or you don't know for a set to be 6-point or 12-point, ask questions. All right, just ask questions. It's always good to ask questions. All right, we're gonna end this video right about now. All right, sorry, you know, I'm not throwing out, you know, no wild crazy energy or anything like that. What it is that I just want the young viewers out there to get an understanding of when they come into this field, what will be expected of them. All right, you got to work hard, you know, and stay motivated in this field. You know, make sure that your heart is in it. If your heart ain't in it, then it may not possibly be for you. All right, everybody's not always cut and built and fit to be a mechanic and things like that of that nature. But if it is for you, then you already know. Okay, so everyone keep it safe and blessed out there, and we're gonna check you later. Peace.